Welcome to the OnPar Podcast. I'm your host, Drew D'Alberto, from the beautiful Winners Award Group showroom here in Coconut Creek, Florida. And today I've got a new friend with me, Rich Leviss. How are you, Rich?
Drew, thanks. Great to see you. Great to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you from the Pure Golf Experience. And
Yep.
you're a former ESPN guy. You are obviously a golfer like the rest of us, and
Oh, for
maybe
sure.
even a golf addict if we can use that word.
Yeah.
But how'd you? Let's start with your golf journey. Like, how did you get into this crazy game?
Well, I mean, I got into the game as a young guy, as perhaps we all have been. But as far as the getting into more the professional point of where I got to is I wanted to be a sports announcer. So back in the day, so I did some games. I went to University of Connecticut and did some football and basketball games and got the sports bug and thought that's what I wanted to do for a profession. And lo and behold, after graduating, I took a job in upstate New York, in Amsterdam, New York, doing high school games. Everything was good except it snowed about 125 inches that winter. That was the last. I made it through one season, and then I think I needed a change. And I sent my tapes out to try to get a job, get jobs at maybe colleges. And minor league teams, and that didn't work. So I had friends going out to California, and I went out to Southern California and wound up getting a job at the Fabulous Forum and sold. It was really kind of a more of a ticket job, but also PR. But I sold group tickets to not only the Lakers and Kings, but the Royal Lipizzan Stallions and Ice Capades and some boxing and so forth. It was quite an interesting job. And so that bug of staying in sports kind of stayed with me. And then that morphed into a job at Citibank and Citicorp where we had a crazy president that loved car racing. So we were major sponsors in the Indianapolis 500 and the Grand Prix and some other series here in the States. And we sponsored drivers. So we had 5 drivers in the 1978 Indianapolis 500. We had stickers and sponsorships with 5 different cars. So that was kind of a trip. And this was all like a hospitality program, sending clients to the Indianapolis 500 or Long Beach Grand Prix. That was fun. And that morphed into a job with the ESPN and ABC Sports. And while at ESPN, I had an opportunity. I was in like the marketing and special events area, and I had the opportunity to work in golf. And so at one time, believe it or not, ESPN had the early round coverage of the Masters, which we still do today, the U.S. Open. Um, we had the Ryder Cup, and we had the Open Championship. And the Open Championship, of course, was also known as the British Open. And I did 4 or 5 of those events over there. And again, it was inviting valued clients, advertisers, and marketing partners that did business with us, did commercials on ESPN, and we'd invite them to these golf tournaments, and we'd wine and dine them, and they'd play golf at some of the great courses over there. And so from that, I left ESPN several years ago and said, I'd love to keep my hand in the world of golf. And I had a great relationship with Links Golf St. Andrews. That's my marketing. That's my kind of my tour operator, my partner in all this. And he said, listen, if you can find some clients and customers, families, friends that want to go play Ireland or Scotland, you're in. So that's what I've been doing the last couple of years. I've had a ball doing it,
Okay.
Drew. It's been a lot of fun.
Well, give me a story or two of playing golf in Ireland or Scotland that's close to your heart, because obviously, if you're telling other people this is a great thing to do,
Yeah.
you've got some good stories yourself.
Well, a lot of the trips a lot of people want to play the old course in St. Andrews. And so uh, following one of these events that I ran at the Open Championship, and again, when we did these events over in Scotland for the Open, we also took our clients to the Open Championship, obviously. So following one of these events, it's 2015, it might have been, I played the Old Course. And what you're looking at is a town of over 600 years. I mean, this is historic. Everything looks like it's been there, yet it's just it's a fun, pristine, beautiful town. There's the University of St. Andrews there, which a lot of American college students, if they want to study abroad, they go to St. Andrews University. It's a fun spot. There's lots to do, lots of bars and restaurants, and a lot of fun. And so I teed off at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. That time of year, it doesn't get dark until 10, 11 o'clock at night.
Okay.
So I'm teeing off at 5 o'clock, and it's an out of body experience. I mean, you're walking on these grounds again that are so historic and so old. There's a Swilken Bridge, which is a little bridge that connects the 18th tee box to the going into the 18th fairway. That bridge was there 600 years ago, where they put it in for sheep to cross the burn.
Okay.
I mean, it's like crazy. So it's a lot of fun. So I come in at 10 o'clock, and I look at my watch. I'm saying, "Wow, it must be dark." Well, it's not. And it's just that as the old course is such as the first 9 holes go out, and the finishing 9 holes come back in toward town. So when you finish, when a lot of us have watched the Open at St. Andrews, and we know the road hole. The road hole 17 is the Old Course Hotel is right in front of you, and the caddy tells you in the Scottish brogue, aim for the O in the word hotel, and you're really hitting your drive over that because that is the angle to hopefully reach the 17th fairway.
Mm.
So it's just we know the 17th and 18th, the finishing hole, and watched some coverage. So I'm finishing up. It's just kind of like this feeling of wow.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of fun. There are a lot of great pubs in town. Everything's walkable, and while there's not only the old course, there's the new course, which isn't really that new because it was opened in 1895. It was designed by old Tom Morris. It's a true links golf course. That's next to the old, and next to the new is the Jubilee. So there's 3 courses in a row there. And there's just, Carnoustie is 40 minutes away. Kings Barnes is another wonderful links course down the road. And there's a brand new course that I have not played, but I love, Dumbarnie Links, which is only open a couple of years, yet has hosted the 2021, I believe, Scottish Women's Open. It's a wonderful track. So there's lots of golf. There's distilleries if you want to have your taste of a little Scotch whiskey. There's hotels with spas to get a little rum down after your round. So it's you could spend a week there and just have a ball.
You
So
throw in a cigar, and I think you got it
no,
all
it's
at
good,
that point.
and we can do
So,
that too. It's all
right,
good. It's all
all right.
good.
And when you're planning these trips, I presume you have different levels of how high end you want to go, and not, and different restaurants that you recommend, and all those types of things as
Right,
well.
right. And the package, Drew, is really uh, so when we ask that you arrange your own flight arrangements, make your own flight arrangements. Edinburgh is the closest city, which is a great town, by the way, a lot of fun, and that's the closest city to St. Andrews. We meet you at the airport in a private vehicle and driver, which we recommend as opposed to self-drive, which you can do, but leave the driving to us. Have some fun. Don't worry about like getting your clubs to the first tee the next day. And believe me, you pay a little bit more, but it's really worthwhile. So we meet you there with a car and driver, one of the Links Golf St. Andrews team member, and you never see your golf clubs again. They show up magically on the first tee of every golf course that you're going to be playing. We check you in with the pro shop. We take you to restaurants, sightseeing. You have a car and driver at your disposal for how many ever days you're there, either in Scotland or Ireland. Ireland, by the way, is really cool too. I mean, needless to say, there's some Royal County Down and Royal Portrush, actually, where the Open Championship will be in 2025. So, 2 great countries. They love Americans. They love golfers from all over the world, and it's just it's not to say it's better than playing here in the States, but it's different.
So you have a very niche business, which I think is quite interesting and cool. How much of your clientele is men versus women?
Mostly men, but I think a real marketing opportunity. There's a lot of women that play golf, so I don't distinguish if I when I kind of go out there looking for business. I'm looking for whoever is a golfer,
Mm.
So, but it's mostly, it's families. I have a father and son going to Scotland next year. I've had families. I have a lot of buddy trips. Grab your buddies and play. I mean, that's a natural. And we have some corporate clients, that want to extend or heighten their brand awareness. They want to thank their clients for their business.
Sure.
That whole thing. So
Sure.
yeah, yeah.
So you have a buddy trip, and what kind of negotiation goes on behind the scenes with the wives and girlfriends, and what's the kind of the most creative thing that you've heard for how they convince their significant others to take these trips?
I haven't heard any stories, but I do think, and not to share here on your podcast. No, I'm just kidding. Um, you know, I think this is called a bucket list trip.
Okay.
So I think most wives and girlfriends would either want to go. And by the way, we've had trips with spouses, and while the guys are playing golf, we're taking them to castles and museums and
Mhm.
great shopping. As I mentioned, for St. Andrews, Edinburgh is about an hour's drive away, and you could spend several days in Edinburgh just doing having a lot of fun, and you don't need to be a golfer.
Got it.
So certainly that's
So bring the wives with you and
absolutely,
let them, if they don't play golf, let them, like my wife hasn't picked up a golf club in 4 or 5 years.
yeah,
Let the wives go get the spa treatments and the shopping.
yeah.
And so it's going to cost you triple at that point.
Well,
But hey,
yeah,
it's a small price to pay for a bucket
yeah,
list trip.
it
So I
is,
get it.
it is, and a lot of times you're going to find us like the buddy trips, where you have, I think, understanding wives, and if the wives wanted to go off with their girlfriend and have girlfriend trips, which I'm sure they do, they can do that. But I just think it's just a lot of it is there's a lot of bonding going on when you go on a trip like this with friends or your father or your brother. It's totally cool, and you're spending time. You know, it's a shared memory, and it's just something that. Listen, if you and I went out and played 18 holes an hour from now, we'd have a blast. Not only playing golf but being in each other's company, telling jokes, sharing the time, and so you kind of like take that to the nth degree, going over to Scotland and Ireland with everything, all the ambiance around you, and it's just a wonderful feeling. So
And that's a perfect lead into my next question, Rich, because you, how do you garner new clients other than obviously somebody that went on a buddy trip or a trip with their family and say to their friends over a dinner party or at a holiday party or
sure.
something, like you got to call this guy Rich Leviss at the Pure Golf Experience because it was a bucket list trip, it was the time of my life. How do you pick up new clients short of getting referrals, which is always the
Yeah.
best marketing?
Well, word of mouth, and I get a lot. I get a lot of my network in the beginning was from the world of where I came from, ESPN and so
Sure.
forth. I do a fair amount. I had an interesting campaign of posting on LinkedIn, for example, and Facebook. But LinkedIn, and this is another avenue. I'm glad you mentioned this,
Yeah.
where country clubs and golf courses have members that take trips occasionally. So I sort of approach the golf professional or the assistant pro and say, hey, I know, your membership is will ask upon occasion, we want to play golf, and they'll take the pro with them. And what we do, quite frankly, is we can structure it if the pro wants. So if there is a pro and assistant pro taking six
Mm-hmm.
members, we'll price it such that the six members will pay for the two pros, which is understood.
Mm-hmm.
The members understand that
Well,
if they
yeah,
take the pros, yeah,
and it's always full disclosure, and people are gentlemen
right,
and professional women that are working at these golf establishments. I mean, we do a lot of business with private golf courses through Winners Award Group, and it's a it's a clientele that, they shake your hand, they look you in the eye, they do what they say.
Yep.
So there's no reason to have any subterfuge. It's always straight up and
Yeah,
straightforward.
absolutely. And they understand and listen, they love having their pro and assistant pro there. In many cases, as you know, they're as much friends as, having a working relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a great week. So, I do that. And, and it's also been great, like meeting yourself and Rich Rogers of 6 Degrees of Golf, and finding new ways to network.
Mm-hmm.
And uh, you have to find, there has to be a certain amount of disposable income that people have the ability to do these things. But I'm always looking out, for some opportunities. But the more you can do, obviously, the better. But a lot of it's referrals, and the other thing I find is, there are, I know there are quite a few very good tour operators. And Links Golf St. Andrews is one of those premier
Mm-hmm.
tour ops. So I'm very proud of the product. I mean, we get glowing reports, testimonials from folks that take our trips. So I know it's a good product, and it's good to have that as far as when I make a presentation to somebody. It's not only myself, but the other point I was going to make to you, I guess, is you're dealing with me, and a lot of people either know me or I'm referred by friends and so forth. So they have a person here, whether it's in Florida or if you live in Florida or you're in the States, I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
And I think having that connection of someone to talk to, not that you don't with other companies, but I guess it's more the familiarity with myself with in certain cases that is helpful for someone to make a trip. And for some people it could be daunting. I mean, playing golf, I could make a trip, plan a trip around Pinehurst or Bandon Dunes, but going overseas, I mean, how do I do it and so forth? So it could be a daunting sort of effort, but it really isn't when you have someone that can put all the pieces together. And the other thing that I say to people is, if you want to play Augusta National or Pine Valley or Cypress Point, California, you've got to know someone.
Sure.
Okay, you can play every course in the open rotation. So whether that's Royal Birkdale in England or the Old Course or Muirfield or Royal Portrush, everything is available to you. Certainly, if you plan ahead, and the planning period is recommended to be a little bit like the 12-month plus area, again, for these courses that are tough to get tee times with and they book quickly. For the Oak course, just to give you a sense, is that for 2024, they've already released a tee sheet this past June.
Mm-hmm.
So if you were if you were trying to get a tee time at some of these courses in 2024, they may be a little bit tough to get. But 2025, the world is open to you, and it's a great opportunity to plan your trip now.
Well, what about skill levels? Because those courses could be intimidating to a lot of
Yeah.
golfers, right? So, someone that is a single digit or a low teens handicap may have confidence going out there
Mm-hmm.
and playing in that. But what about someone who's a bogey weekend golfer or a super high handicap or someone that doesn't even have a handicap because they just get out there when they can? Are those people coming to you for this type of trip, or are they intimidated?
No, Drew. Let's be honest.
No, and that's why I'm asking. I want to know.
I know of all the golfers that, and you're supposed to supply like a gin handicap card.
Yeah,
Okay,
sure.
okay. But for all the golfers that you and I have played with and know and seen all the balls go in the water and out of bounds, and then
In the sand
they
three
say, yeah,
times,
they say
and
they're a 12 handicap. I mean, and also, and I have to admit, I play with a group of guys that, the old Michelob commercial that, that's good. We're from 12 feet. I mean, listen, all I can say is yes, particularly the old course may ask for that gin handicap, but it's a very liberal, I think, skill level that we're talking about. So if you're worried about, if that's your worry about going over there, it shouldn't be your worry.
All right. All right, no, and that's why I'm asking, because I'm sure that I'm not the only guy listening
No,
to this when it comes out and says, all right, St. Andrews would be cool to play the old course, some of the other courses that you just mentioned in England or Scotland or Ireland or wherever. And I've been to a few of those places, but I wasn't a golfer at the
right,
time. I lived in the Netherlands when I was in college,
right.
study overseas thing for 7 months. And if I golfed at that point, I would have been playing golf everywhere, I'm sure. But I didn't get the bug till much later. But that's why I'm asking
Yeah,
that question, because I don't want somebody to say, "Oh, you know what? I have the means, I have the want, I have the will, but the skill's not there to let them stop them from going."
right. You make a good point, though. I would say that more important would be golf etiquette and also slow play. As long as you are aware of, like, whether it's
Mm-hmm.
replacing your divots, which actually you most likely will have a caddy to do that. But if you're respectful on the golf course
Mm-hmm.
and also sort of playing more than not ready golf, that you're ready to go, it's really respect for the game, I would say, over ability to play.
And
Yeah,
I'm kind of known for saying, like, I'll play with anybody unless they're going to be super super
yeah,
slow or they're going to get mad,
yeah,
right? Because I mean, I know I don't swing my club 150 or 200 or 300 times a day, so I'm not allowed to get mad,
yeah,
right? I'm out there to, like you said, camaraderie, tell stories, laugh at each other's jokes, know that I can pretty much say anything on a golf course except for the two four-letter words, which is rain and snow, and nobody's going to judge me or
yeah,
cancel me or be mad at me, because it's just, hey, look, it's like going to a comedy show and getting mad. You
yeah,
shouldn't go to the comedy show.
yeah,
Same thing with a golf
yeah.
course.
You know,
So I'm there for that,
yeah.
as you are, I know.
Absolutely.
So
And
yeah.
after a round of golf, let's face it. I mean, after a round of golf, you're sitting around having your favorite beverage and
And maybe some nice good food.
nice, good food, and you're laughing about, you were in the road hole bunker, and you couldn't get out of it. You took 18 swings and you couldn't get out of it. Um,
I
or
don't remember those shots. By the 19th hole and
yeah,
one scotch,
yeah,
I only remember the three
yeah,
good shots
yeah,
that I hit and the one long putt that I made.
and
So they could talk about my bad shots, but I forgot those already.
yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, you're sitting up at one of the hotels that we recommend. It's Rusix, and it's overlooking literally the 18th hole of the old course. And you're sitting up there. They just did a nice, beautiful renovation, and they have a rooftop bar up there. And you're sitting up there, and you're overlooking the spans of the last opening holes, rather, of the old course and the 18th green. And beyond that is the North Sea, and in between is the West Sands Beach, which, if you're a movie aficionado, the Chariots of Fire was filmed on that West Sands beach.
Okay.
And you're sitting there with a cigar or with your favorite beverage. Doesn't get any better than that.
That's it right
Yeah,
there. So what's a typical length of time for these trips? Or I mean, I'm sure they vary, but
yeah.
is it a week? Is it 2 weeks? Is it 3 weeks? Like, how do people space
It's a
this
great
out?
it's a great question. Um, I'm doing a trip right now where the guys want to stay in one hotel. They don't want to move around, and they want to play the old course. And if that's the case, as I mentioned before,
Mm-hmm.
there's plenty of courses, great courses to play. And I have another group that wants to play St. Andrews, but also wants to play Muirfield and also some of the courses near Edinburgh. North Berwick and Gullin are other courses
Mm-hmm.
there.
So the first group is going for a week,
They're going for like 5, 6
5 or
days.
6 days.
The
Okay.
second group is maybe going for 7, 8 days. And then you might have a group that wants to do St. Andrews, Muirfield, and they say, Rich, I want to play as many Open Championship courses as I can.
Mm-hmm.
So then we take them up to the west side of Scotland, and they can play Turnberry,
Okay.
Troon, and Prestwick. Now, Prestwick no longer is in the Open Championship rotation, but Prestwick hosted the first, like, I want to say, a dozen or more of the Open Championships back when it began in the 1860s, um, but still is ranked in this. I brought this book along, which is the Golf Magazine Top 100 Courses in the World. Prestwick is still ranked in the top 100.
Okay.
So that trip would be you'd be playing the old course, Muirfield, Carnoustie, Troon, and Turnberry. That's 5 Open Championship golf courses out of maybe 9 or 10 rounds, and that would be probably more like 10 days, 9
Yeah.
days. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And so, do you make these guys and ladies that do these trips like a little passport book and stamp each golf course or
Well,
anything like that, or do you do something fun
we
like that?
send them. We don't. It's a great idea, by the
Yeah.
way. We do an itinerary where they see kind of in kind of color and pictures as far as where they're going to play. But it's in the anticipation. Think about it. Someone's thinking, I'm playing the old course in Troon in Turnberry. Well, Nicklaus and Watson played in the famous 1977 where they duel in the sun. And I mean,
Oh,
it's
they're
mind
excited for a
blowing.
year.
Oh
I mean,
yeah,
a year or two, right?
yeah,
Because you're booking out for 2025 right
that's
now,
it. Yep,
and 2024 is pretty much booked.
yeah,
And if someone cancels, you might get on the wait list, get off of the wait list or something like that.
yeah. So it's all depends on really what you're looking for. Generally a minimum trip is probably 5 rounds of golf,
Okay.
and the package really is the tee times, the hotel, and ground transportation. That's
Okay.
sort of what the package is. And then usually most of these hotels, Drew, a breakfast is included.
Okay.
So
So
really,
you're talking about lunch, dinner, and tipping your caddy and beverages and whatever else
correct. And
is not included, but
that
it's not intended to be an all inclusive, so that's okay.
correct. That's correct.
Got it.
So yeah, and your obviously your airfare, your flights over to whether it's Edinburgh or Dublin or Shannon over in Ireland, that would be yours to make those arrangements. But you tell us when you arrive, and we take over from there.
Perfect. So,
Yeah.
what's the best way for us to get in touch with the Pure Golf Experience
Yeah.
and get at least inquire about a trip?
Yeah, I have a website. It's www.puregolfexperience.com. And my mobile is 860-839-5584. Check out the website. I mean, it's got, if you tap on the home page picture, you'll see the name of the course, and there's 22 different courses that kind of rotate through. And, there's 500 courses in Scotland and countless others in Ireland, and there's some great courses that we've never heard of or played, and there are others that we know about and have dreamed about playing. So there's something for everyone. Ireland and Scotland are wonderful destinations, and yeah, I love talking golf. Thank you for
No,
having me today. It's been a
totally fine.
blast.
Thanks for making the drive
Yeah.
down from Palm Beach. We
Oh
appreciate you.
no, no worries.
And so, yeah, check out puregolfexperience.com. You can talk to Rich Leviss about planning your dream trip to Scotland or Ireland or England or all three.
Yeah, Wales.
And Wales, and check him out from Winners Award Group here in Coconut Creek. I'm Drew D'Alberto. Thanks again for being here, Rich.
Thanks, Drew.
And we'll catch you next Thursday with another episode of the OnPar Podcast.
Great.